I miss James Wan's direction in these movies. You know, The Conjuring to me just screams James Wan. You kind of need him. But that being said, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, is not a terrible film and is actually pretty solid if you ask me. I do think it's the weakest of the three, by far, but I do think that it was entertaining. I had a good time watching it, and I don't know, it was fun. I won't say it was nearly as scary as the first two. Like, when you go into a Conjuring movie, you're expecting to, like, you know, have trouble sleeping at night. Like, oh no, the ghosts and demons are gonna get me. Not that I believe in those things, but still, like, I feel that after I watch a Conjuring movie. Like, it's scary at night, you know what I mean? But there's no sense of that with The Conjuring 3, if you ask me. It just wasn't as scary, it wasn't as intense. The scares, the jump scares, all that stuff weren't as creative, but I don't know, I didn't hate it. Again, like I said, there were definitely positives there, like the fact that I just love spending time with Ed and Lorraine Warren, for example. I know that their real life counterparts were problematic people, probably just scam artists and whatever. I know some people take issue with this being a very simplified version of them, trying to make them look like the heroes when maybe they weren't so much in real life, but if you ask me, I don't know, I kind of find comfort in these people just who clearly love each other so much. They're so wholesome and adorable in a way, but you know, in this world that can get dark and scary and everything, but there's still something nice and comforting about their presence and about watching a Conjuring movie in a way, because there's something nice about there being a very simplistic moral compass here. You know, the good guys, bad guys, it's very black and white. The Warrens are the heroes that are going to be there to save the day. The demons are the bad guys that you got to be scared of, and I kind of like that, where I might say that being simplistic is kind of a dig at other movies that might not necessarily be a nice thing to say about a lot of other ones. But in the Conjuring universe, for some reason, simplistic is just nice and comforting, and I kind of enjoy that about this. And I did think that there was some inventive stuff in there. I love my kind of scary haunted house gimmicks, like in the one scene where there's the waterbed. You know, if you have some sort of slight gimmick like that in a horror movie, I'm probably gonna love it. Like, I don't know, there's just something about that I always love. Something that I do have to say that's negative about this movie, at least in terms of my perception going in, is that I do think that the title is quite misleading, because, you know, the title kind of promises this idea of something a bit different. It's supposed to kind of be focusing on the court case that happened apparently in real life, where somebody killed somebody and blamed being possessed by a demon doing it. And that sounds pretty interesting, and I would like to watch a movie about that. And I still would, because The Conjuring 3 is not really about that. It's more just another basic Conjuring movie, which is a bit disappointing, but I don't know. It's still solid stuff. I do think it's a worthy sequel. I definitely had a good time watching it. It was entertaining and all that stuff, but yeah, weakest of the three by far. Just wasn't as good. Just wasn't as good, and that's because of James Wan's absence, to be honest. You just need him. I just love him so much, you know? Okay, now let's get to the ranking section of this video, because this is a review and a ranking in one video, because, hey, I didn't want to make two videos, okay? This is going up late enough as it is. I know The Conjuring came out like quite a few weeks ago for some particular people in the world, but we were in lockdown again in Melbourne and I kind of missed out. But I've seen it now, so I can get to my ranking. Number 8, the very worst of the bunch for me, is La Llorona. I just think that it's probably the most uninventive of the 8. I think that it's not as intense as it could have been. It's not as fun as it could have been. And I think a big factor to this is also the fact that I was actually really looking forward to this. I think that this is huge waste of potential. It could have been heaps better. And yeah, I just went in with like these higher expectations than maybe I should have, because La Llorona is kind of shit, man. And it was pretty damn disappointing because of that. Then number 7 is The Nun. Yeah, The Nun. The Nun's no good. Valakir, you know, it was terrifying in The Conjuring 2. Absolutely terrifying. That shot where whatever, is standing at the end of the hallway in the Warrens' house. That is just an image that will never leave my mind. But here, I don't know. I'm just not scared of the nun here. Not at all. I kind of like the main characters, if I want to say something nice about it. There's also that scene where one of them is like buried in a grave and there's the bell and something. I'm only remembering this kind of vaguely, but yeah, I'm never going to rewatch The Nun. It's just no good. It just sucks. Then number 6 is the original Annabelle, which is a movie that I think is okay. I remember when this came out, this was the first kind of spin-off to come out after The Conjuring, and I was really looking forward to it because I love The Conjuring so much. And yeah, it's really not as effective at all. Like, Annabelle was definitely not as scary as Annabelle is in those few short minutes that it appears in the first Conjuring film, but it's not bad. It's not a bad film. It definitely feels a little bit more amateurish, I guess, than The Conjuring to me. Just not a massive fan of it. But then next up at number 5 is The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This is maybe the most Hollywood of these movies. Like, it's the most kind of ambitious when it comes to kind of the scale to it and everything, but it's not nearly as scary and intense and all that stuff. I thought it was a solid film and I had fun with it, but I definitely didn't love it, and it was easily the weakest of the 3 Conjuring films. Then next up at 4 is Annabelle Creation. I love the director here in David F. Sandberg. This is a very well put together film and I really do enjoy it. I think that it's much better than the first one, if you ask me. There's quite a big margin there where this one's a lot better, but for me, I just think that the setting is a little bit uninteresting. Just that farmhouse, it's a little bit boring to me, but it's still very good, and the main actors, the child actors in this movie, they are just goddamn very good in this. Like, they do a better job than a lot of adults do in terms of acting and stuff. And yeah, you kind of got to appreciate that. I imagine that's a hard thing to do, to direct these children and to do such a good job as a child actor and all that stuff. That's just good job there. Good job. Then at number 3 is the third Annabelle movie, Annabelle Comes Home, which I think is easily, for me, the best of the 3. And that's maybe because of a little bit of bias, because this one is set in the Warrens' house and I like that setting. I like having the Warrens here a little bit as well. This is kind of like a mini Conjuring movie, a little bit. Like, it's kind of like another one there. And I just enjoy seeing them and spending a little bit of time with them once more. But this one is more about their daughter. And I like how it's all set in like one night and everything. And I just enjoy this movie. I really like the simple premise of things go wrong over that night. Then number 2 is the Conjuring 2, the second Conjuring. I absolutely love this. I think it is a fantastic film. It's just not as iconic in my mind as the first one is, but it's still pretty much just as good. I reckon they are pretty much on par, if you ask me. And yeah, it's great stuff, but just for me, my first one, it's not as good as my number 1, which is the original Conjuring. You can't beat the original here. You just can't. It's just the best one. I'm sorry, James Wan did such an amazing job here, and the house is just iconic in my mind, and everything about this is like the definitive haunted house movie to me. Just, you think of a haunted house movie, I do anyway, I'm thinking of The Conjuring. This is it. This is as good as it gets for me, for that very specific subgenre. Yeah, I think it's amazing, and that's all. That's my ranking and everything. So yeah, thanks for watching. Do the things which are like, comment, and share, and subscribe, and all that stuff, and see me next time and stuff. I don't know what that was. Okay, see ya.